of the $1 million reward wearing off. We'll look at the numbers.
And weather woes. Mother Nature puts a damper on Ohio's big reopening day. Our Mike Polk has a few things to say about it. Stay with us. What's new starts right now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
It most certainly is. And hello again, Northeast Ohio. So good to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of What's New. A very good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Alongside Betsy Kling, I'm Jay Crawford. Betsy, a very good Wednesday afternoon to you.
Thank you. Same to you. I'm sorry about the rain. I know everybody's a little bummed about that, certainly.
That's okay. We got a great weekend ahead.
We do have a great weekend ahead. I just, as the open was rolling, I said, this weekend's going to be crazy because it's going to be hot and it's going to be nice and everybody is ready to get out and see others. So get ready for that. But in the meantime, we start with the health orders because they're gone. Nearly all of Ohio's COVID-19 health orders have expired. We're going to dive into more of the specifics of what requirements are still in place in just a moment. But for most people, we begin another new normal starting today. Governor DeWine lifted those orders at midnight, meaning restaurants, stores, ballparks, and beyond can welcome guests at full capacity. And the state is no longer requiring masks.
We have team coverage tonight to break down what all of this means for us. January Keaton has a look at where Ohio stands in the race to get vaccinated. Will Ewick talk to a doctor about how to handle being in crowds again. It's been a while for some. And Lindsey Buckingham takes the pulse of area businesses and how they are responding to the expired health orders.
And that's where we start today. When Governor DeWine lifted the health orders, he noted that individual businesses may still ask customers to wear their masks. Some are, some aren't. But as Lindsey reports, it's an effort to strike the balance between comfort and safety.
A sign at Geiger's clothing and sporting goods store in Lakewood says you're free to shop without a mask, but only if you're vaccinated, have a medical condition, or are under 2.
We still want people to have a good experience and a safe experience in our stores. All of our staff is vaccinated.
Still, owner Gordon Geiger says the store supports whatever makes customers feel safe.
No mask shaming here at all. If they want to wear it and feel more comfortable, terrific. If they don't and feel comfortable, that's great too.
And just down the street,
you have a yellow bladder?
The Place to Be restaurant is serving at full capacity and leaving it up to diners about masks.
I leave to the people. If they are comfortable to come in with no mask, that's fine. If they're not comfortable to come in with, they want to wear a mask, that's fine.
And some local businesses say they're not quite ready to drop the masks, like Studio 6A Salon and Spa in Westlake. Owners Nicole Wheeler and Katie Klein say they'll keep the mask policy for now for the safety of its staff and clientele.
We're just so close to each guest at the shampoo bowls, at our stations. If we're doing bangs, we're really like in their personal space, and we just want to protect everybody until we figure out what's happening as everybody's moving forward.
Moving forward, and hopefully in the right direction.
We all want to get back to normal.
And here on East 4th, we're actually surprised to see a lot of people walking into these businesses, many of which have also dropped their mask policies. But if you need to know more about the health orders, if you just want to know where to shop without a mask, we've got you covered on WKYC.com. Betsy, I'm a little bit tempted to duck into one of these places, I have to tell you, with all the rain coming down.
Yeah, the rain is going to continue, so make sure you have a doorway to get into nonetheless. All right, Lindsey, thank you for that update. And as we mentioned earlier, the majority of mandates are gone, but there are still a few requirements that are still in place. The orders dictating data collection and reporting requirements for cases in nursing homes and assisted living facilities will be continuing. And the state of emergency declaration will also stay in place. That is tied to financial assistance and emergency funding. Also remember, businesses, especially hospitals and medical offices, can and likely will still require you to wear a mask and social distance.
While some are excited about Ohio lifting its COVID health orders today, it might have others feeling a little bit anxious, perhaps even stressed out. Will Ewick now with details on how to overcome it all as we find our way back to our pre-COVID lives.
It's been 14 long months since we've been in large crowds like baseball games and concerts. But now the time has finally come.
The excitement is at a high level right now as we anticipate getting fans back here at full capacity. We've been waiting for this day for a long time.
And even though today's game has been canceled, the fans will be back. And as many are thrilled to demask and resume a crowded day-to-day life, others aren't quite sure how to dive right back into the pool of people. In fact, a new study by the National Library of Medicine found social anxiety increased among Americans during the pandemic. So what can you do to mentally prepare yourself to re-enter society?
One thing that can be helpful is using imagery.
Dr. Susan Albers, a clinical psychologist at the Cleveland Clinic, says if you're nervous, don't rush it. Visualize before you leave the house and remember to breathe.
This is going to help you to acclimate and imagine some of the challenges that you might face. Before you leave the house, you can also do some breathing exercises. Take a couple minutes to really center and ground yourself because it is anxiety provoking. We've been away from crowds and social events for an entire year.
If you still find yourself anxious while in a crowd, Dr. Albers says it's okay to return in small steps and to try and focus on what you can control.
You can continue to bring your mask and use it if you are feeling really anxious. Also have an escape route planned. If your anxiety is raised, find a way that you can add some social distance to help to reduce your anxiety.
So today's game obviously postponed, moved to September for a split doubleheader, and that puts a little bit of a dampering on things because they won't return here until June 11th, and then they can get back to this full capacity. But Jay, Dr. Albers says, if you're not ready for something like that, even on the 11th, start small groups of friends, small gatherings before you expand it to something like this.
Certainly good advice. Will Uick live this afternoon for us on What's New. Will, thanks.
It's week 2 for Ohio's Vax-a-Million drawing, and tonight's lucky winner will be announced in just a couple of hours. But there was a bump in vaccinations that led up to that first drawing. Now it's not quite the same for the second round. Today, the Ohio Department of Health weighed in on why we're seeing a vaccine slump. January Keaton joins us now with the details. Hi, January.
Hey there, Betsy. Yep, that Vax-a-Million drawing, the second one is tonight. But far fewer people have signed up to get vaccinated this time around as they have in weeks past, as you mentioned. But is it just vaccination fascination? Is that what people did in the beginning and now everybody's bored with it? Or is there a real reason for the decrease? Check this out. At a webinar today, Ohio's Department of Health praised the impact the Vax-a-Million lottery had on the number of Ohioans getting the shot. But like we said, as we head into tonight's second announcement, the bump in number of vaccinations seen in past weeks have waned. The week the lottery was announced, get this, the state saw over 147,000 new vaccinations. Week 2, that number jumped up over 40,000 more to nearly 190,000. But this past week, week 3, only 128,000 vaccinations were put in arms. That's about 60,000 fewer than a week prior. The Department of Health says that ball was already in motion.
Prior to the launch of that effort, we had a progressively downward trend in vaccination rates in the state.
Now, even with fewer folks vaccinated this week than last, the number of folks being treated in hospitals for COVID has fallen, and virtually none of those folks treated are vaccinated. Now, the second Vax-a-Million winner, that'll be announced tonight at 7:29. You can watch that announcement right here on 3 News. Meantime, a new winner is announced every Wednesday night, and it will be at 7:29 every Wednesday until June 23rd, Betsy.
It's not just that Vax-a-Million winner either. There's a whole lot of parents that are hoping their kid's name is pulled in the quest to pay for college too. Certainly, great stuff
for sure.
January. I almost called you Ronnie. January.
That's all right. I'll take it.
Talk to you soon.
Well, Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit is still in limbo as to whether or not his win at the Kentucky Derby will stand. It's a complicated story. We'll sort it out. It was reported today that the horse's B sample, which was also taken just after the Derby, has tested positive for the same substance. Trainer Bob Baffert maintains there was a small amount of the substance in a topical ointment that the horse's vet prescribed for a painful skin condition just before the Kentucky Derby. The lawyer for the horse's owner claims the amount found was minuscule and wouldn't have improved performance at all. So here's the next step. Racing officials will meet. They're going to conduct a hearing and decide whether or not they will let the win stand or choose to disqualify the horse. If Medina Spirit is disqualified, the matter could be tied up in court. And as we know, that could take years to solve. Now, the drug that was on the banned substance that the horse tested positive for is a drug called beta-methazone. It is a banned substance. It was found to be in Medina Spirit's system, commonly used to treat infections. This is not in the family of drugs that athletes or horses typically use to enhance performance, but technically it is a steroid, and therefore it is a banned substance. So it's a tough one for Bob Baffert. Everybody in the racing world has an opinion on this. Betsy, here's the rub. Baffert's legendary. His horses have won 7 Kentucky Derbies. That's a record. But also they've had trouble. In the last year, 5 of Baffert's horses have tested positive for banned substances. Oh. So this is really hard to figure out. Because on one hand, you can't understand how this drug was used to treat a symptom that was painful for the horse. And most of the experts agree this drug wouldn't have enhanced his performance at all. But technically, it's banned. Right. So it can't be used.
Well, I mean, this is what the hearing will kind of hash out, right?
They'll have to decide it, yeah.
And how much money is at stake? Millions and millions and millions of dollars.
The owner would forfeit $1.8 million, his winnings for the Kentucky Derby. By the way, today, after the news came out of the B sample also being positive, Bob Baffert suspended by Churchill Downs for the next 2 years.
Wow.
So that's a big blow.
He can appeal that, though, probably after.
He can, but likely will not be reversed.
That's a big one. Well, up next, Amazon shoppers, get ready.
Yeah, it might not be a patio night tonight, but it will be this weekend. And with that in mind, and with the idea that Ohio
It's a day a lot of folks have been waiting for. Today, Amazon announced the Prime Day lineup. Prime Day, it's plural, will be on both June 21st and 22nd. It's the earliest ever for this annual sales event. Amazon said it made the move from July to June because of the Olympics. I'm totally down with that, saying the games are going to take people's attention away from the deals, although I think a lot of people have multiple screens going when they're watching, but who am I? We have a link on WKYC.com right now to see all the Prime Day deals being offered so far. And don't forget, it's not just Amazon. A lot of other retailers offer deals the same day.
Yeah, they got in on that too. Yeah, they needed to compete. Well, it is Wellness Wednesday here on What's New, and we have 3 medical stories making headlines today. We start with one that's taking a look at this new trial that's studying what happens when an adult who is fully vaccinated with one type of COVID vaccine gets a booster shot of a different type of COVID vaccine about 3 to 4 months later. The National Institute of Health is leading the trial of 150 adults who have been fully vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, or Pfizer vaccines. Adults may need to get a booster shot later this year to bolster herd immunity.
More than half of adults around the world say they've experienced weight stigma. That's according to a new study from the University of Connecticut. Researchers surveyed nearly 14,000 Weight Watchers members in 6 different countries. More than 50% felt friends, family, even doctors judged their weight. People who did experience weight stigma were more likely to avoid going to the doctor.
That's interesting. Finally, this is pretty scary if you have or if you know someone who has a pacemaker or one of those implanted cardiac devices. The FDA and American Heart Association are now warning that the magnets that are found in the iPhone 12 can actually interfere with those devices. The Heart Association study found that 11 of the 14 pacemakers and defibrillators malfunctioned when the phone was held over them.
Ooh.
They do say the risk is low, but the FDA for now is recommending you keep all electronic devices with magnets at least 6 inches away from any of those implanted devices. That's kind of scary.
It is.
But it's good to know, and we try to spread that word.
You know, I'm always worried about magnets and like credit cards, you know, because you can
deactivate
your credit cards. I wonder if it does it for that too, because, you know, I'm one of those people, I have my wallet on the back of my phone.
I used to do that.
And I wonder if it's just sitting there like sucking the lifeblood out of my credit card. Family would be very happy about that, most certainly. All right, let's roll it. Let's go to weather because we have plenty to talk about. Matt Wintz joining us today. Matt, a little bit soggy out there, and Jay, not the happy camper because Indians didn't play.
Yeah, you know, I love baseball. I think your weather word today is going to be tricky, Matt, because I think that forecasting this particular event was a little tricky for you guys. You were even saying yesterday, we're not sure, you know, the hour by hour can be tough. And when it comes to calling a baseball game, a decision has to be made. And if it looks like it's going to rain, it looks like it's going to rain. What are you going to do?
Right. I'll tell you, science has not caught up with the fact that we cannot predict the exact hour of rain at everyone's house. We're not quite there yet, but, you know, we know rain's going to be in the area, and we certainly have it here this evening, guys. We're in for a soaker of an evening and overnight across northeast Ohio as this wave off that low pressure we've been tracking the last 2 days moves on in. So let's get to the radar, shall we? Pretty decent rain now moving into the southwestern half of the viewing area. You can see scattered showers starting to pick up in intensity. Geauga County down towards the Canton area. Pretty heavy downpours. This went through the Norwalk area, now getting ready to cross into Lorain County. So Lorain, Elyria, likely some heavy rain here in the next 15-20 minutes. It's a steady light to moderate rain. Mansfield, Ashland area. You can see our live ODOT cam, 71 and US 30 there. Yeah, you've got a lot of spray on area roadways for that trip home. So definitely some extra time. And you know what? I had radar data here down here in Tuscarawas County a second ago. There it goes. Look at that sweep. We've got about half rain, half not. That's not a good sign. And then Cleveland, we're still getting the radar data. It's raining, and it's going to continue to rain. Reason why, we've got an area low pressure. It's kind of elongated now. This isn't a really compact area of low, but you can see we've got a pretty decent shot at rain tonight. Tomorrow we get into some of this. There's a little instability as well, so we may have some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but much more scattered, not as widespread tomorrow. National Zymark hour-by-hour forecast tonight. It's not tricky at all. We're going to get rain across northeast Ohio. You can see tomorrow morning we're dealing with some clouds. The bulk of that rain, as you saw on radar, will likely be pushing out tomorrow morning. We get a little bit different pattern tomorrow. We may see a sun peak or two. I really do think we'll be locked in the clouds, but a little bit of instability will likely pop some showers tomorrow. It's not going to be moving in. It'll be popping overhead. So we'll go scattered showers, maybe a rumble tomorrow. Then that's out of here. Thursday, we start dry. and then things will change. We have an isolated shower thunderstorm chance. Temperatures have been kept down today with the clouds and rain. We're in the 60s to near 70 now. The noticeable change is the humidity. Dew points now in the 60s and 50s. This is some tropical air. We stay there. The muggy meter all the way through next week. We're talking heat, and that's all on the heels of this ridge that heads in from the west. It will build and has some staying power next week. Look at the 7-day forecast. Some of these numbers. Union Home Mortgage 7-day, 71 cool degrees tomorrow. Soak it up because we're in the 80s on Friday, upper 80s. Saturday was sunshine. Weekend looks great, but it also looks sunny, and you can see 90s staying in the forecast all the way through next week. So buckle up for that. Betsy?
Matt, I was just showing Jake Crawford a skew-T log P diagram.
I thought it was my high school yearbook picture.
He was asking about why it's not raining when it looks like it's raining.
Right.
So
because the radar had green today, but it was not raining where I was.
We were talking high science.
You guys get in these deep conversations at the wrong time.
We're listening with one ear, I promise.
Bottom line, hot this weekend. Thank you, Matt. All right. Speaking of another Matt, Matthew Perry. He's back making headlines, not for anything to do with his role on Friends, though. Coming up in Pop Break, Kiera has more on why he decided to call it quits with his fiancée after 7 months. Well, it's time now to get to your daily entertainment news. Something spooky is coming into Lance Bass's life just in time for Halloween. Later this year, Ricky Martin is living La Vida Loca on a popular magazine cover, and one Friends star shares some sad news about his love life. Here's our Kiera Cotton with all the details in your Pop Break.
Coming off the heels of the HBO reunion special, we have sad news from Friends star Matthew Perry. According to reports, the 51-year-old has split from his fiancée Molly Hurtwitz after a 7-month engagement. Perry began dating the 29-year-old literary manager in 2018, and the two kept their relationship very private. In a statement, Perry said, "Sometimes things just don't work out, and this is one of them. I wish Molly the best." Ricky Martin is embracing his true colors. The king of Latin pop is on the cover of People magazine's 2021 Pride issue. In the interview, the husband and father of 4 shares his journey with coming out, how his father helped him to take the leap of faith, and how he hopes to help other members of the LGBTQ+ community.
Because I know there are hundreds of, if not thousands of men and women, young men and women out there struggling. And if they see me, they might feel better about themselves.
Ricky also spilled the beans on new music. The first single from his 11th studio album is set to drop next week.
There it is again. There's something in this house.
In a video first posted to TikTok, Lance Bass and husband Michael Turchin are expecting something spooky as the couple, who's been married since 2014, searches their home for the source of children's voices and encounters scary instances. The chaos is all set to chilling music. But in the end, the couple reveals the exciting news that they're expecting twins.
They're coming.
The couple will welcome a boy and girl this November. Talk about putting a spooky twist on a baby announcement.
Talk about creativity. Seriously, if you haven't seen that video yet, you can check it out on Lance Bass's Instagram page, and the production is top-notch. It really looks like a trailer from a horror film.
Oh, I know Jay just loves spooky stories.
I do. I love them.
And ghost thrillers.
Yep, so I'll be watching that. I'll be checking it out.
I believe you will.
Thanks, Kiera.
Thank you, Kiera. Well, as of today, the majority of Ohio's health orders are gone, but there are still some
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
And it's time now to get you caught up on 3 things you need to know here at the bottom of the hour. We start with breaking news out of Canton. Canton City Schools just announced that the 8 football coaches who were put on leave at McKinley High School will be formally disciplined. We reported earlier this week that the family of one of the players said he was forced to eat pork as punishment for missing practice. Eating pork is against that player's religious beliefs. Today, the school district said their investigation found that the identified coaches did engage in, quote, inappropriate, demeaning, and divisive behavior, though they did not comment on the specific allegations. The district also said the coaches will be punished, but it did not announce what that punishment will be.
Well, the winner of the second Vax-a-Million drawing will be announced tonight. And this week's drawing, it's going to be a little bit harder to win, because last week's wasn't hard enough, apparently. An additional 467,000 adults registered, and that means the total number of entrants is now 3.2 million Ohioans. So you have a 1 in 3.2 million chance. 28,000 more kids registered for the full scholarship for a total of 132,903 entries. 3 News will be airing the announcement live tonight at 7:29 on air and on our website.
And number 3, as of midnight, almost all of Ohio's COVID health orders are gone. That means there are no longer social distancing guidelines, capacity restrictions, or the statewide mask mandate. However, individual businesses, if they choose, can still require customers and workers to wear masks or socially distance. The state's orders dictating data collection and reporting requirements for cases in nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and schools will continue. It's recommended that you still keep a mask handy just in case you want to enter a store that requires them. So there you go.
A lot of folks are going to wear them anyway. They're just not ready to let them go. And it's a security blanket almost now, because there are a lot of people that have been impacted by this emotionally. They're just not ready. So again, if you see somebody out there, mask shaming should not be a thing. I don't know why people are afraid of that, but hey.
The owner of the sporting goods store, I thought, said it best.
Yeah.
Said, look, if you want to choose to wear it, that's fine. We're not going to shame you for it. If you don't. I was a little surprised today at how few masks I saw.
Yeah.
It was almost as if you flipped that switch and everybody just threw them off. I did see some people that were choosing to wear them, but by and large, I was surprised at the large percentage of folks that just were mask free.
For me, it's the capacity limit change. That's the new part for me. My personal space has become very prized. So I'm kind of like, if I get in an area with a lot of people, I do feel a little uncomfortable. Yeah. It's going to take a little adjustment time.
I think it will, for sure.
We'll get there. All right. Well, thank you all so much for staying with us and for joining us. We have today's top talker, and that, of course, is that Ohio has lifted the mask mandates and a lot of the health orders, as a matter of fact. Right now, the number of COVID cases are continually declining in the state. And today, there were 334 cases reported. Now, the last time the state reported 300 some odd cases was June 15th of last year with 391. Many medical experts are hoping to keep the case numbers down, and I think Mother Nature is too, because here we are in this first great day of the mask mandates being gone, and what happens?
It rains.
It rains. And
that was so predictable, by the way.
Well, who else do you think we would bring in to talk about this?
Mike Polk. I think he's the perfect guy to figure it out. He has some thoughts on the reopening being rained out. And here it is.
Happy reopening day, Ohio. Isn't this exciting? And what a day it shall be. I'm about to head downtown to celebrate this glorious milestone by meeting friends at the Indians game. So let's do this. Here I come, society. Okay, well, that didn't work out. The Tribe game was canceled due to inclement weather, so I'm back in the basement. Now, it's obviously a huge bummer that the weather is so lousy on the very first day that we Ohioans are allowed to really start mingling again. But at the same time, let's try to not be superstitious and assume that this means anything more than just that. It's just a bummer. I've already seen a fair share of griping online today about how this rain is a bad omen. And that's not shocking. We humans have a long and storied history of assigning deeper meaning to weather out of confusion or frustration to try and help us make sense of it. As an early example, here's a woodblock print from the 16th century featuring a ship that sank in a storm. A storm caused, according to this artist, by a giant sea devil. After all, it couldn't possibly have just been a really bad storm or a bad job on the captain's part. That incident had angry sea devil written all over it. Now, you can also go the other way by interpreting bad weather as a positive omen. We've all heard the saying that rain on a wedding day is good luck for the marriage. Of course, this was obviously just a superstition contrived on the fly by people trying to calm down a weeping bride whose dream outdoor wedding is being ruined as the dance floor turns to mud before her eyes. But it still serves its purpose. It's tempting to blame external influences on lousy weather because we don't like the idea that some things are just random. And as for today, not even all that random. We get about 130 days of precipitation in Ohio each year. So there's a better than 1 in 3 chance that something unpleasant is going to be falling out of the sky at any given time here, folks. The fact is, when trying to schedule any outdoor event in Ohio, like say a backyard barbecue or a celebratory post-pandemic statewide reopening, there's always going to be a high element of weather risk. Just ask the 7 to 10 brave souls who attended the Berea Rib Cook-Off this past Friday. Those people love ribs. Or, more directly, think about the annual adventure that is the Indians' home opener, which is notorious for its consistently bad weather. Weird, right? It's almost as though it's risky to schedule outdoor baseball in Ohio when it's still essentially winter. Who knew? So while I do acknowledge that it is indeed a drag that the weather did not cooperate this day when Ohio was supposed to finally get back to normal, in a way, the fact that the bad weather ruined our day is in fact very normal for us. And be honest, doesn't it just feel good to get back to our Ohio tradition of fretting about the weather rather than fretting about possibly becoming extremely ill by touching the wrong grocery cart? I'll take this any day. It's just nice to be bummed out about less horrifying things again. So, keep it in perspective, Ohio, and happy reopening day. Here's to sunnier times ahead. This is Mike Polk for 3 News.
Stand by for the weekend, everybody.
It's coming.
Just rest up now, because then this weekend, banana.
Just like that, I feel better.
Right?
I mean, Mike has a way of just putting it out there. I love when he goes to the numbers and says, let's face it. 130 days, something bad's falling out of the sky.
I'm impressed that he had that.
We have a better than 1 in 3 chance of having bad weather.
Right.
And we're used to it.
Well, and the funny part, too, a lot of folks don't really remember what the weather was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we have a short
You have to have like a personal attachment to that day and the need for great weather. And if it doesn't come out, then blame people, like Matt Wins.
Well, he is the weatherman on duty right now.
He's on duty.
So, yeah, that definitely means that if it's bad weather today, he's in front of us. We won't take it out on him.
Unreal.
We love Matt. Next on What's New, we have new images from Mars, the rare cloudy discovery, and why they formed earlier than expected on the red planet.
Plus, this 3-year-old girl had a very specific birthday cake in mind. I'll tell you why she was so adamant on having a sad cake.
It's funny.
It is funny, actually.
And I guess you guys want to know a little bit about the weather, right?
Well, we have the story about the clouds on Mars. I don't suppose you have a forecast for that.
Are there any openings up on Mars?
there could be.
The weather. There's no one to get angry at you up there. The rain moving in, guys. We have a soaker of an evening out ahead of us, but we could use the rain. I know there's 129 more days after this of more rain. We'll talk about it, and we'll talk about the hot weekend ahead coming up.
Well, we welcome you back with just another reminder that Mars is an ever-changing planet. I know that's top of your mind right now, so let me explain. NASA's Curiosity rover captured new images of clouds on Mars. Now, this video was taken back in March, but we're just now getting to see these images. It takes some time for these big data hogs to come down. Anywho, scientists say that clouds usually appear on Mars during the coldest time of the Martian year, but they formed much earlier than expected. Curiosity's mission team discovered that these early clouds are at higher altitudes than normal and may be composed of dry ice or frozen carbon dioxide rather than water ice. So we get the ice crystals here, our little high, beautiful cirrus clouds and whatnot. They have a completely different atmospheric chemistry, obviously,
Right.
so they get the carbon dioxide and all of that. But more analysis is needed to really determine which clouds are dry ice and which ones are water ice. And that's, you know, something that we have here on Earth.
So they're getting climate change too, then?
They don't know, because they really don't have a long track record of climate on Mars.
It's tough to find a history of those record highs and lows on Mars.
That's what the rover is there, and that's the core samples that they're drilling. This new suite of instruments they have there is hopefully going to be helpful.
But we do know that the weather pattern is off its cycle there.
Potentially.
For whatever reason.
We think maybe. We just don't have a frame of reference.
In other words, never mind that whole story. I'm so confused now.
I mean, you know, we've got the whole water ice thing going on here. A lot of people forget that even on rainy days here, it's still ice that's up in the tops of the atmosphere. And Matt, we actually do have thunderstorm chances to start to enter back into the picture as we start to get things going topsy-turvy in our atmosphere that is very water-laden right now, right?
Yeah. Betsy, great transition. I didn't know how you were going to get out of that one, I'll be honest. That was fantastic, yes. Tomorrow, obviously, more instability. Might have some more ice rubbing up against each other, creating that friction and a little electricity perhaps tomorrow. I think it'll be kind of few and far between, and we'll see what happens. But after that, we talk hot weekend around here for sure. And you know what? I love computers. I love algorithms, phone apps, all that stuff, because they come up with these weird percentages. Rain chances overnight tonight. 74, 86, 83. You know what? Meteorologist says, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. All of us are getting rain here this evening. Then maybe we get back into 80s and 70s. We'll get through the early morning hours. But we've got a soaker of an evening out ahead of us. Already coming down good in portions of northeast Ohio. The real line between the lighter rain that we have and some of the heavier rain is now right over Lorain right now. Elyria stretching down towards Medina. Wayne County, Worcester getting some heavier downpours. This is the push of energy that's going to bring in a light to moderate to at times heavy rain here throughout the evening hours. This will likely put down anywhere from a quarter inch, likely up to 3/4 of an inch as it moves through, looking at some of the reports down to the south and west. Once this is out of here, everything gets more scattered overnight tonight. Low pressure center, though, still back in Missouri. It's kind of elongated. It's not real compact, so we're going to continue to usher in more moisture tonight, and that will be with us tomorrow. As Betsy mentioned, a little bit uplift tomorrow. Might have some showers and thunderstorms, a little bit more scattered tomorrow. National Design hour-by-hour forecast back into the 60s tonight. You saw that rain moving through. Tomorrow morning, we'll likely be saying goodbye to some of the rain. And as I mentioned, a little heating of the day tomorrow. We'll start to pop some more clouds and altitude. And you can see some of those popcorn-like look to the showers and thunderstorms. Some of these could put down, have some heavy rain tomorrow. And then eventually we'll start to dry things out Thursday night. And temperatures overall tomorrow up near 70 degrees, very similar to today. Clouds will likely keep temperatures down just a little bit. So how much rain are we talking? Upwards of an inch. It depends on where thunderstorms are tomorrow. If we do end up seeing those, you get heavier rain and thunderstorms, so much needed across the area. Then we talk heat. That's going to be the big story on the weekend. This is your departure from average in terms of the nation here over the next couple days. Notice the reds. There's a big bubble of warmth. They're going to have highs in the Dakotas on Friday, potentially over 100 degrees. That heat will sink our way. Won't be quite as hot, but you notice the trend. Northern half of the nation really going to be seeing above average temps. And in terms of the jet stream, how that happens is we get a big old ridge. You get a lot of sinking air. It's just high pressure aloft. High pressure sinks, and it warms as it does so. And you can see we've got just a big ridge sitting across us. Main driver of the weather system's way off towards the north. This looks like it has some staying power, not just this weekend, but next week as well. And if you miss the humidity, I know so many of us do, yeah, it'll be back. It's back now, and it's going to stay there all the way through next week at this point. We'll see when that ridge breaks down. That's really going to be the big question. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast, 71 beautifully chilly degrees tomorrow compared to what we're going to be dealing with. We're back up near 90 degrees by Saturday. I think we'll do 90 on Sunday, and then we stay there. Shower and thunderstorm chances look slim until Monday and Tuesday. That's when we'll start to break down that ridge. But guys, much different pattern, right, Betsy? We're looking at these numbers saying, 91, 92.
I know. And the funny part is we're like trying to nail down. You don't understand when we do our forecast. We are painstakingly like 91, no 90, no maybe 91. And it's so hard. And everybody at home's like, it's just about 90 or so.
Right.
We really do try hard.
One thing's for sure, it's going to rain tonight. We got that.
Nailed it.
Yeah. 100%.
Thanks, Matt.
That's the kind of number I look for. You know what's going to happen that way. Betsy, I love this story. I don't know where kids come up with some of this stuff, but this is just priceless. Casey Fay posted on Twitter that his 3-year-old niece turned 3 on Saturday. Leona asked for a Lion King cake, but not just any Lion King cake. It's like, why this scene? There's some logic. There's some method to her madness. She wanted the moment Mufasa, Simba's dad, died, which sounds awfully macabre, but when you listen to her logic, it makes sense.
Look at this cake.
She wanted that specific moment because, quote, everyone will be too sad to eat the cake and it will be all for me. A Minneapolis bakery agreed to make it. In fact, they went the extra mile. They offered to add the little 3D design there. Her mom told Today Digital that Leona is just a hilarious and quirky girl. And you can tell that one right there is going to lead to a lifetime of laughter.
Leona, use your powers for good and not evil.
Yes, please.
Because that is amazing.
But isn't that, I mean, it's incredible that a 3-year-old's mind would work that way.
Processing, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive and scary, too. Because as you said, please use that for good. You have a gift, Leona. Don't misuse it. That's very, very good. All right, next on What's New, the world's largest meat supplier becomes victim of a cyber attack. I'm telling you, these things are getting frightening. We're going to tell you what's believed to be behind this hack.
And a new bill passed in Ohio about fireworks. Stephanie Haney joins us for Clicking in Cleveland to explain what this one is all about.
Welcome back to What's New. Boy, this is just, I guess, part of the new scary world we live in. The world's largest meat processing company resumed most of its production today. Over the weekend, JBS became the latest victim of a cyber attack. Yesterday, 6 U.S. plants, along with operations in Canada and Australia, were offline. The company told NBC that most of their systems would be operating by today. JBS is the world's largest supplier to U.S. brands, including McDonald's, Costco, and Walmart. This comes at a time when poultry prices are surging. The company told the White House it believes Russian criminal hackers were behind the attack. You'll remember just last month, the Colonial Pipeline was also hacked, shutting down a critical gasoline supply for several days.
Well, it's time now to see what's clicking in Cleveland. For that, of course, we turn to our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. And Stephanie, I have a feeling a lot of folks are clicking on the new normal.
They really are, Betsy. This is a big day for Ohio with health orders lifting, and here's what you, our 3 News viewers, think about it. Now, a lot of people joked how this was the longest couple of weeks to flatten the curve of their lives, and some say allowing this personal choice is long overdue. Others, though, are nervous COVID cases will go up again. Now, when asked, are you ready for things to open up, people are split, with thinking this is premature and we're just fatigued, and also that it's long overdue, hoping businesses can rebound. And on whether people will keep wearing masks, Nicole Rose says she never wore one to begin with, and she's ready to see smiles. Many agree with Karen Pulvanale, who says she'll mask up because of all the unvaccinated people out there. And lots agree with Mary Kaiser Gershwind, who will because her kids can't be vaccinated. Remember, businesses can still require masks. Now, not everyone was impressed with Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett's hoops skills this week. Garrett posted this video of him easily dunking the ball online, but promising to go back to football, thank goodness. Now, when head coach Kevin Stefanski was asked about it today, he said, yeah, no more of that. Really proud of you, Myles, but he's retired. Now, I'm with Stefanski on this one. Let's not take any chances with an injury to our defensive line. By the way, Myles says he's feeling great and well-conditioned, and let's keep it that way. And the Ohio Senate has just passed a bill about fireworks. It's Senate Bill 113, and if it becomes law, it will allow Ohioans to light off fireworks on their property on certain days and holidays, maybe like Independence Day. Now, local governments can still limit or completely ban people from doing this, Jay and Betsy, but if this makes it through the House, it would be a big change here in Ohio because we know you can buy fireworks in Ohio, but not legally set them off right now.
Can't leave the ground. Certainly, much like Myles Garrett shouldn't be leaving the ground on the basketball court.
Oh, my
that kind of gave me a heart attack there to watch. I can't imagine Stefanski's reaction.
And we've seen those for the last year from time to time. And every time I see them, I'm like, how long before the Browns come out and say, you're a football player, not a basketball player? I'm all about individual liberties, but you know, you're paid millions of dollars to perform a football job.
Yes.
Don't risk that by playing basketball.
I don't know, Stephanie. Maybe he no more 3-on-3 pickup games. Maybe horse.
That's safe.
That sounds like a good plan. They should all take up that hobby. I agree with you.
Now, to fill the void, by the way, of all these dunking videos, Russ Mitchell has said he will gladly start taping himself dunking and put them out there.
Thanks for taking one for the team, Russ.
Russ is going to,
As always, he's here for us.
Look for that first video this weekend.
Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, next on What's New, a 10-year-old.
Then coming up on What Matters Most at 6, a big announcement from Microsoft to help Cleveland residents bridge the broadband gap. Details on who the company is partnering with for the new initiative.
And right now it's time for your pop quiz. Babe Ruth retired on this day in 1935. How many World Series did the Babe play in? 4, 7, or 10? The answer when we come back.
Hey, mic check. 1, 2, 3. It's official. The bulk of Ohio's coronavirus.
Al, how are you? It is official. The bulk of Ohio's coronavirus health orders have been lifted.
Hello, it's Kelly. 1, 2, 3, ABC. January is running to grab the umbrella from my car. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2,
3. You got me? You got me? Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Check 2. Check 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, check 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, check 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check 2, 1, 2.
Hi, Al. How are ya? Mic check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I had no idea. All right, before the break, we asked you how many World Series Babe Ruth played in, and here's the answer. Played in 10, led the Yankees to 4 World Series titles. There you go.
Well, America's Got Talent returned to NBC last night. We're always so excited to have that show on.
Watch out for him this year. Thanks for watching What's New. We're back tomorrow at 5. We hope to see you then.
What Matters Most with Russ and Laura starts right now.
Now at 6, the time is now.
It is time. It's time to end the health orders.
We all want to get back to normal.
Today, a leap forward for the state as health orders are dropped, the changes local businesses are making, and why some of them say, don't get rid of your mask just yet. Also, packed with people. If you're feeling anxious to resume life with crowds, you are not alone. Experts share tips on how you can ready yourself for the changes. Take 2.
Congratulations! You just won $1 million in the Vax-a-Million giveaway.
Tonight, a second chance to hear your name called for the Vax-a-Million lottery. We take a look at our vaccination numbers ahead of tonight's announcement. And Deal Days announced. Amazon is pushing up its Prime Day event. The other retailer releasing similar plans to get more of us shopping.
from the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
It is official. The bulk of Ohio's coronavirus health orders have been lifted. After a year of masks and social distancing, we are